Hello, my bookish friends. My name is Emma. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Today, I'm really excited to be talking about great short books that you can pretty much read in a day. Sometimes you just need a good short read, whether you're in a reading slump or you're trying to read like a certain number of books, or you just don't have a lot of time to commit to a book, but you know that you want something that's still going to be impactful and really enjoyable. Then these are some recommendations for you. Alright, so the first book on this list is Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. This is maybe one of her lesser known novels. Celeste Ng did write Little Fires Everywhere, which got the miniseries adaptation with like Reese Witherspoon and some people like that. This one is set in 1970s Ohio. It is about a teenager named Lydia who is found dead on the edge of a lake in their local town. And Lydia seems like the girl who has everything. She's her family's favorite. She gets good grades, she seems to have a really good social life, and so her death really rattles the community. But then slowly through a series of flashbacks and scenes in the present day for the story, you kind of start to see the holes in the story. You get some context for her family dynamics. You get to see a lot about her parents' marriage as well. So there are some great discussions of interracial marriage because Lydia's mother is white and her father is Chinese American, and so you see when they date in the 1950s how all of that happened, as well as the ramifications for the rest of the family later on. And so it's a lot about family dynamics, familial pressures, social pressures, and a lot of really, really amazing, interesting themes in such a short book. So if you're looking for something that's really going to make you think, that's also under 300 pages, check out Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. Alright, this is shifting gears a bit. If you're a fan of fantasy, then this one is for you. That is Neil Gaiman's Stardust. First of all, I absolutely love this cover, right? Like the unicorn, the old-fashioned illustration style, top notch. But this is more of like a fantastical romance by Neil Gaiman, and on the back it says, "You have to believe, otherwise it will never happen." Tristan Thorne promises to bring back a fallen star for his beloved, the hauntingly beautiful Victoria Forrester, and crosses the wall that divides his English country town from another, more dangerous world of lords and witches, all of them in search of the star. Rich with adventure and magic, Stardust is one of master storyteller Neil Gaiman's most beloved tales. So there's adventure, there's a quest for the Stardust, there's lords, there's all sorts of fun elements, and so this one is really just like a fun romantic fantasy romp. This is a travel copy, so it's got pretty thin pages, and it's only about 257 pages, so totally doable in a short time span, and something a little bit different. Neil Gaiman has a really accessible writing style, and so if you are maybe not even a giant fantasy reader, but you're looking for some way to branch out, then this can be an accessible way to do that. So the next one might not be one that a lot of people would consider right away, but that is The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane. This is by Kate DiCamillo. She's a Newbery Award winner. This is actually a middle grade novel, but it packs such a punch and so many good life messages. So basically, Edward Tulane is a porcelain rabbit that is owned by this little girl, and he's completely adored, spoiled, has all these really ruffly clothes, and so you get to see this whole story unfold from Edward's point of view. He can't speak, but you hear all of his thoughts and get to see what's happening around him through his eyes. And so at the beginning, he's really arrogant, he's loved, he's all of these beautiful clothes and everything. And then basically something happens where he's no longer living with the girl. You see his entire journey through all of these walks of life and all of the lessons that he learns about himself and about others along the way. And I remember when I finished this book, I just had to hug it to my chest because it's such a heartfelt read. I remember feeling so close to Edward and all of the people that he comes across. And so if you're looking for something that's heartwarming, found family, some beautiful things like that, check out The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane, and don't let the middle grade label scare you off. So the next one I had never heard of before, but I had signed up for a customized book subscription where they look at your Goodreads and that you tell them about your preferences, and then they send you a book each month that they pick out for you, and this is one of the ones that they sent me, and this is Balzac and the Little Chinese Seamstress. This is a historical fiction novel. It is about the re-education policy in China during China's infamous Cultural Revolution. And so you follow the lives of two young men who grew up in the city, went to big schools, things like that, and they were sent to a remote village in China to learn what that side of life is like as part of the re-education project. And this is an era in China that I really didn't know much about. I studied history, but I studied more Western Europe, and I didn't get a lot of exposure to these kinds of stories. And so this was really eye-opening about a part of history that I really didn't know anything about, and something that I want to do more research on. But this gives a really eye-opening account of what these characters' experience was going through the re-education process. Once these two young men are relocated to this remote village, they quickly become friends with a seamstress who's the tailor's daughter, and they find a stash of hidden classic works. And so they read the classics themselves and talk about these classics with the seamstress, and it completely opens up their perspectives on the world at large, both the young man and the seamstress herself. And so there's some interesting juxtaposition of city life versus rural life and the ideals that go along with these two ways of living. And so it's hard to explain this one too much without giving anything away, but it's compelling, it's eye-opening, it's a great introduction to a part of history that isn't really talked about too much in today's curriculum. And I remember feeling like it touched on a lot of important themes in a very, very short book. This is not even 200 pages. It may even be considered a novella. So if you're looking for something short that really dives deep into history and classics and the effect of broadening your worldview, then this is a great option. The Little Chinese Seamstress. And the last one on this list is a contemporary dramatic romance by one of the greats, and that is November 9 by Colleen Hoover. Most of you probably already know what it's about, but the basic premise is that Fallon and Ben meet each other right before Fallon is supposed to move across the country. Ben also has a lot of different stuff going on, and so while they really hit it off, they realize that this just isn't the right time for them, so they decide to meet exactly 1 year later on November 9th. And so the format of the novel centers around this idea, and so you see each consecutive November 9th where they continue to meet up and they share what's happened in their life over the past year, so you get to see Fallon and Ben both grow as individuals, both go through different forms of hardship, and it's an interesting take on the romance genre and things like that. So it's very dramatic and not necessarily perfect, but I remember not being able to wait to see how the next November 9 turned out. So if you're looking for something that's super fast-paced, has a bit of romance in it, and is by a super popular author, then November 9 could be for you. Alright, so there's my list of 5 super awesome short reads that you can read in a day. Some are historical, some are eye-opening, some explore philosophical concepts, some are just fun romance mystery type vibes. Overall, it's a very well-rounded list and should hopefully have something that appeals to a lot of different people. But please let me know down below what your favorite shorter books are. It's always fun to have a list of options when you maybe just don't have a ton of time to read, but you really want to pick up something good. So please let me know down below what you recommend. And until then, but until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye!